Hello, Dr. Schaefer. This is Christopher Corey, final presentation for ECE 102, fall of 2020. For Dr. Randall Schaefer's class, final presentation, 3 questions. So let's go ahead and start off with question number 1. Question number 1 is, what did you learn? Well, I can go over all kinds of things that I learned in this class, right down to every specific, but I'm going to keep it generalized just to keep this video moving and keep it between 10 and 15 minutes. At the beginning of the semester, I could not wait to learn the tools and techniques that would allow me to carry them into my future career as an engineer. This class and this semester did not disappoint. I learned more than I ever could, and for the first time I actually felt like a real engineering major, and I felt like an engineer, which that's not the case, as I'm going to present for on the second line here. When starting lesson 1 at the beginning of this 8-week journey, I remember one of the first things I read in the selected reading from lesson 1. It read, "By the time you are done with this course, the one thing you will learn is that you are not an engineer." Not only was that true, but I learned that there was more underneath the surface of the field of engineering than meets the eye. There was a new world that I have never been exposed to. The terminology, the way to think, the way to approach a problem, and basically the responsibilities of an engineer, and how they are expected to be on time with their projects, come up with solutions, in addition to the tools and techniques. Overall, the most important thing I learned is that, more than ever, I see myself moving forward with the mindset of an engineer, even though I am not one yet. And that is the one thing I took away from this, was that, yes, I'm not an engineer. Yes, I felt like an engineering major. But everything that I've learned, I felt, even though it was just on the surface, for me, it was more information than I ever thought before, even though it's a 2-credit course. Continuing to question number 1 continued, what did you learn? I learned not only some of the tools and techniques engineers used on a daily basis, but I learned to think systematically, learning every step, and that's what the book taught us, or the selected readings, at least in the lessons. Think systematically, approach the problem, and it broke it down for us in 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 steps. First, you have the given variables. What is it asking? What variables do you have to find out? And what units you have to use. I learned how to approach a problem in a way engineers do, in which obviously was described in the book. I learned to add functions and features to Excel that I have never seen before, and never used or even heard of. Not only did the more advanced functions develop a new skill for me, but I learned to strengthen my basic Excel skills. I learned to strengthen my math lab, Excel solver, developer, which are key skills I learned to utilize, to perfect, and to basically build more on. And these are skills that in the financial field, by doing VLOOKUPs, doing basic Excel functions, I didn't have any idea how to use these types of functions, and I didn't realize that engineers use more complex methods, and maybe even the financial sector can use them. I also learned MATLAB and how to program and input data and commands in order to obtain the desired result. It also helped graphing. It helped with an array of data, of X values, or T for time or temperature. Even how to take a whole bunch of data and just sum it up in MATLAB by just simple coding. This allowed me to focus on my code, and it taught me that attention to detail is crucial. So without that attention to detail, I have a bunch of useless information, but instead, if I knew how to code and pay attention to detail, I could basically save myself time by summing it all up and having MATLAB do most of the work. Overall, I learned a foundation that I could carry with me to my future classes and projects in engineering, and look forward to building on these skills. Question number 2, what was the hardest part of this class? Well, the hardest part of this class was the questions that were built on the foundation of the first one asked, basically the first one that was asked in a homework assignment if given more than one question. So the first question would be pretty basic and pretty straightforward. The hard part was making sure the problem was thought through and not overthinking the problem like I did with a few of them. As you know, Dr. Schaefer, I've sent you plenty of emails, and I do apologize if I blew up your email box and bombard you with all kinds of emails. But that was the hard part, was the second question that needed a little bit more than just what the first question was asking. I guess it took a little more manipulation and a little more creativity to rearrange it or set the charts up or set up the second problem differently from the first one. Another hard part of this class was not realizing basic typos or errors which caused me to obtain a wrong answer and overthinking or going against my instincts and changing the formulas when they were correct from the beginning. I would think I was getting the formula wrong, but wonder what it was like maybe a simple comma or a closed parentheses or a multiplication error, or I didn't type it incorrectly, or even a space or some kind of comma that messed up my MATLAB code. From developer to solver to MATLAB, it could be a simple comma, simple spacing error, bracket, parentheses. That's something that I thought was really hard and made me think that I was messing up on the formulas or the process, which could have been right from the beginning. Overall, any new class where new information is presented will be a challenge. What work you put into the project depends on the dedication and never giving up, the perseverance, continuing to go at it, and that's what I did with these projects. I never gave up with them. I made sure that I checked everything, even though I still missed maybe a comma here or there or basic typo. I still try to build on those mistakes and avoid them in the future. Question number 3 is, how did it affect your opinion about the role of an engineer? Well, this class affected my opinion in a positive way. Not only did I enjoy the work and problems and tools I learned, it gave me a glimpse on the surface of what an engineer can do to find solutions to problems. If they have a whole bunch of matrices and array of data, simply plug it into MATLAB and code it. And all of a sudden, you get data appears if you coded it correctly and made sure that the code was basically carefully put in without any mistakes, which saves a lot of time. And it allows you to take hills of data, as much as you could take in, and simply put in MATLAB. It actually made me feel like a legitimate engineering major, even though I still have ways to go. This class was a great introductory to the role of engineering and what will be expected of you as an engineer. From the beginning, you basically had assignment dates, and I made sure I met those assignment dates because, like you said, in an engineering field, an engineer has to get their projects done on time. And this was a good simulation of what will be expected of you once you have a real engineering career and a real job. Overall, this class has made me and still has made me craving for more, and I can't wait to take part 2 of this course. I wanted more videos, on more complicated problems within those videos. Also, even though I stress and struggle with some of the work, it still challenged me and made my mind stronger and allowed me to stay focused on my engineering career goal. And this class pushed me to think like an engineer, to keep myself in that mindset, stay focused, and basically not doubt my abilities. I wanted to dominate the skills learned in this class because at the end of the day, I am still passionate about learning and how to create and build anything from scratch. Like I mentioned in lesson 1 from the personal reflections assignment, for me, learning how to make a CPU or anything for that matter became an obsession. When I realized silicon, or SiO2, came from sand and was designed to make a CPU, I was obsessed. How simple alkaline earth metals can make the technology we have today. And that still this class affected me in a positive way because in order to understand that process, you really have to understand how to think like an engineer, use the tools and techniques they use in order to come to that conclusion. Carrying on to question 3, work and how does it affect the work an engineer does? How does it affect your opinion of how work an engineer does? Well, this class opened my eyes to the type of work engineers do by showing how not only do scientists discover new ways to advance technology, you got physicists, chemists, biologists, and the development of products, but shows how engineers find a use for it and how to apply it to everyday life. You can discover all kinds of atoms, like electrons, how metals interact, but at the end of the day, the engineer is the one that has to apply it to the everyday life. Trying to use the most recent research and discoveries from these physicists, these chemists and biologists, which I learned to call the big 3, to apply it to the world is what engineering works is to me, and how engineering work is to me, and advancing the human condition through new tools and technology to solve problems and improve the quality of life. Another part of question 3 was, how hard is it to become an engineer? Well, I guess I can give a short answer. Really, really hard. This class opened my eyes to how hard it is to become an engineer. All the math courses, the physics courses, basically just how to think in a scientific way and keep yourself in that mindset. The constant need to advance our current technology and tools used to advance the field of engineering alone and to design the complex ideas to apply it to the real world. This class was not just a series of homework and assignments that you can simply use data and plug and chug. It required manipulation or variables and or formulas. It demanded thinking outside the box, understanding what the problem is and what the solution is needed, what variables are given and what are needed to find out. This class was a foundation for more to come, which of course there's a part 2 to. Overall, this class taught me the mindset that is needed to start a career in engineering and basically to think like one. So, moving on to the next part of question number 3. Would this reconsider my career choice? Absolutely not. If not, it made me want to be an engineer and basically this class only inspired me to continue my career goal as an engineer. The assignment has meaning and practical use. These assignments were not just busy work, it had meaning, it had practical use, and it was a challenge that I took patience and intelligence to overcome. Even though I got overwhelmed at times, as demonstrated by all the emails I've sent you, this class took work not only to pass, but to receive an A in this class. These assignments are real tools that you can use in the future and in everyday personal life. For all I know, I could use some of these tools like Solver or Developer or even MATLAB in the tech department of my financial firm or in the medical field or any other past jobs that I could use these tools. The effort I put into this class was a lot, and it only allowed me to focus and work harder and stay on track. Due to the work and practice these assignments took, I enjoyed taking the time to learn the assignments and never stopped correcting my assignments until I fully perfected my understanding of how to do them, because that's how serious I took the material. Is I wanted to perfect my skills because I will see this material again. I want to see this material again, and I want to build on it and use it again. And as demonstrated by all the emails I have sent you in the past once again, and hopefully I didn't know you too much, Dr. Schaefer. This is the end of my presentation. I want to thank you for a great semester. I look forward to taking you again in March. And thank you so much for all the tools that you have taught me, the techniques, and the incredible textbook, even though it's through the Real Learn library, that I've learned. Thank you.